Hello goddesses, this is Corey here with bUneke magazine. I found today artist and energy healer Emily Murphy, and we're going to talk to you today about her practice and all of her amazing jewels that she creates. Hi Emily.
Hi, it's so nice to meet you.
So nice to see you today. So tell me, how did you get started being an artist in the Orlando area?
Well, I've always been an artist ever since I was small, creating, and I never liked coloring books. I wanted plain paper. So there's always been a creative element to everything I do. In Orlando, I went to college at Rollins College, and and then I went home for a little bit. Post college, you have to go back home, and tried grad school for a while for literature, and decided I really didn't like it. And I went to massage school, and I've always been making art all along, and something clicked when I got into manual healing arts. I call myself a healing artist, and I specialize in alchemizing people's challenges and their injuries into alchemizing their wounds into wisdom.
That's amazing. I feel already this connection. As soon as I met her, we're at a metaphysical fair in Celebration, and I was walking around to all the booths, and immediately I was drawn to Emily. The purple hair, the healing crystals. I was like, oh my God, a soul sister right here. So tell me a little bit about how you start making your jewelry.
The jewelry I make in this current state, it all starts with delight. That's my main goal with the jewelry I create, the adornment I create. Is my tagline is adornment for a charmed life. And because people don't take time for delight often, and they don't take time for healing, and just to have a moment where you have a beautiful thing that takes you back. Whenever you wear it, takes you back to that part of yourself, that element of joy. I started making jewelry in I think about 2007. Just basic stuff, and I really found my voice. I have a huge passion for Japanese culture, so I found a way to make cherry blossoms that are just amazing, and through the cherry blossoms I started selling at Japanese cultural heritage festivals and MediCupping, the local geek convention stuff, anime festivals. This past year my cherry blossoms took me to Washington DC, Sakura Matsuri, so through the cherry blossoms, that was my gateway to delight and creating delightful things that help heal people in that way, bringing joy.
That's so much fun. I just looking at your display booth here, you have so many incredible pieces. Can you show me some of your favorite ones? Your favorite set of earrings
this year I started making these little dinosaurs, these little carousel dinosaurs, and they make me so happy. And I love the moment when somebody discovers my table and then they see that one thing that just is their thing, and they light up. I watch people go from being in normal mode to delighted mode. Like we call it the shriek and sneak. Most people are like, and then they sneak into the table so they can get the thing that they want. So that's amazing. The cherry blossoms. This is one of my signature pieces.
Wow. So. And you make all of this from scratch.
Handmade,
this is incredible. The design and the detail is just...
My little cherry blossoms have taken me everywhere.
It's so amazing. As a human, we always forget about self-care and taking time for ourselves. So it's so inspiring that you are taking your passion and helping to remind others that you can intermingle your self-care and your passion together.
Yes, absolutely. And everything that I do in my massage practice, in my intuitive counseling, tarot reading. I use tarot as a tool to help people understand what's going on in their life. In my metaphysical world, in my massage world, my healing arts, it's all healing art. And giving people that time to self-care. It's that.
So let's go back to your massage and your combining the metaphysical world and the healing world. Tell me how you got started and what really inspired you, and maybe a few moments that it clicked that this is where I'm supposed to be for your healing.
Massage and energy work kind of dovetailed at the same time. I discovered Reiki and a community in where I used to live in South Florida just prior to, actually I think Reiki was the instigation, because I got my first Reiki attunement, and then it sort of opened the conversation in me, and just I ended up on the path to learning massage, and the two of them together, plus I'm a gifted intuitive, so when I put my hands on somebody, I get a lot of information.
So explain to me a few of the specific things that you focus on during your healing with your clients.
So I like to tell my clients that my practice is like a choose your own adventure. So because I have a wide range, I can, like you said, I can do everything from energy work. I have a wonderful sound bath treatment with Tibetan bowls. So because we're vibration, so you can retune your emotional and physical organ with the right frequencies of vibration. So I can go from the spectrum. I can go from barely touching you. Reiki is energy work, which is dealing with your energy body, and that could be very light touch or no touch. Craniosacral work, also very light touch, and it's tremendously profound. So I can be on that end of the spectrum where I'm hardly touching you or barely touching you, or not at all touching you, all the way to work that's so deep that you need a safe word. So on that deeper side of work, I'm certified in MediCupping, which is really transformative work, where we use the negative pressure, and it comes from traditional Chinese medicine. I learned it as a massage modality. So we're using negative pressure to create suction, and then we move the cup over the body, and it's lifting the tissue. So you have the opportunity to get very deep work while avoiding the body's pain signals. So, and it's so amazing. It's really hard to describe, but because we're creating that space between the tissues gently, cupping should not hurt. We're bringing the waters of the body and fresh oxygenated blood to these areas that have been stagnant by an old injury, metabolic waste, or just congestion, like lymph congestion. So we're lifting that and carrying that away. And also one of my favorite modalities, cupping's my favorite, and my second favorite is Dolphin Neurostim, and it's a microcurrent.
Wow, you have to explain that. That one I haven't ever heard of before. That's fun.
So I have these 2 units that run on 9-volt batteries. And every good thing starts with that. Let me get my batteries. So it's kind of an East meets West. So I'm coming at it again. It's informed by traditional Chinese medicine. It can best be described like needleless acupuncture, but I'm creating a junction between the idea that in acupuncture or traditional Chinese medicine, all illness and dysfunction in the body comes from a blockage in the flow of energy through your meridians. So you've seen that acupuncture chart, right? The connect the dots. So the lines are meridians, and that's our flow. It's like our wireless system. And any blockages in that flow can lead to injury or illness. So with the Neurostim units, I can access the acupuncture points, which are if a wireless system had outlets, that's our acupuncture points. And I'm unifying stimulation on an acupuncture point to a motor point, which is where we know in the West our nerves most innervate a muscle. So, and because of that, I can reboot the electrical conversation in your body. Because sometimes you're stuck in dysfunction, not because it hasn't healed, but because you just haven't Control-Alt-deleted the electrical conversation.
Right, and we were talking earlier, unearthing all of just unpacking your emotions and where your pain, holding your pain.
Yes.
You could have something happen to you, and for me, I hold my pain in my sacrum. That's where it's centralized.
Yep.
So as a client coming to you as a healer, what could a client expect from the initial consultation and treatment?
Well, it really starts with a discussion about what your needs are, what your the issues in your tissues, and what your goals are. Because if I'm not going to give somebody a package that's like all like money is no object, and time. You can either go really fast, or you can go at a pace that's more in compatibility with your life, with your lifestyle. So it's definitely starts with a conversation, and I spend lots of time with my clients. There is no ticking timer, and I give plenty of space between people so we can have that time to have a conversation. You can have a cup of tea after, and after we discover what your goals are, then we start with the most appropriate approach. So somebody who's in a lot of pain, who's telling me they have sheeting pain down their leg, so that's letting me know that that's a nerve issue. And we're going to start with the electrical conversation. We're going to start with Neurostim. If somebody has, just congested pain, they're telling me they're sore all the time, or I can see they're wearing their shoulders like earrings, I'm going to start with the cupping and if somebody is like, I just need to be relaxed, I just need to be heard or held, because like you say, we're holding so much emotion in our physical body, and it goes deep. It goes all the way back to birth sometimes. Sometimes people have built over their birth injury layers like a pearl, and that's what I do. I find where things are layered, and we start to gently lift them away so we can get you back down to normal.
What I love hearing about just you talking about your practice is that humans as a collective all have something that we can work on, whether it's identifying that we need more self-care, or how to go about finding out what you really need to help you feel centered. I just love that you're a healing soul and you're adaptable to each client's needs. Just speaking to your clients and understanding that what you do is focused on them.
Yes, because most healing, in my opinion and in my experience, I have to start where my client is. It doesn't matter how effective a particular style is. Often the first appointment is, even though someone wants to be released from a physical injury, or I still need to give them a more standard massage like what you'd experience at a clinic, just to get that out of the way. Because sometimes mentally and emotionally, you need to be squished. You need just a lovely massage. So sometimes my first sessions are that. And then when we're done, and they understand the kind of work I do, then they can be open to the conversation of, so here's what I suggest. What if we did this? What if we did this approach next time? Now that you know my touch and you know the kind of work I do, and you can trust me with it. Right. Let's take a little tippy toe out of your comfort zone, and try something that maybe is not what you expected, but is exactly what you need.
That's amazing. So Emily, in addition to your beautiful jewelry that you create and your healing massage, I hear you also do henna.
I do, yeah. Henna is another part of my healing art, and I know it's a lot when you meet me and you start having this conversation. It's like, instead of drinking from the garden hose, there's like a fire hose, and you have to figure out which part you have to just sip from. So I would love if you come to my office. I do little micro henna parties, so I would love it if you would come to my office and we could do some beautiful henna artwork on you. And depending on what you'd like to do, sometimes people have me channel imagery or symbols for them to work with while they're working on manifesting something. So we can do deep sort of channeled work, or I can just paint you pretty, whichever you like. There's a spectrum there too.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Emily, please tell me, how can our clients find you?
Absolutely. So I have a website, themassagefix.com. MassageFix.com. You can also find me on Instagram at the same name, and more of my art at MurphyCreations on Instagram.
The Massage Fix. Emily, it's been such a pleasure meeting you. Yay, thank you. It's so much fun to meet another goddess and the community.
Oh my goodness, yes. All the goddesses must unite.
Absolutely. Emily, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Magazine. Remember, you are a goddess. Bye.
Bye.